they come to me for a lot of behavior issues, mostly new ones, sometimes, ones that crop up suddenly. But sometimes, especially when an animal is a rescue, there are a lot of issues that they have and behaviors that they have that maybe aren't so groovy. Someone doesn't want them to be fearful of certain things like riding in the car or the sound of thunder or the door opening and closing, whatever it is. And they need to understand why. They don't need to, I don't train them to understand, to sit and instead of running around barking or whatever. But I tell them why that dog may be running around and barking, or that cat is pooping on the rug in a particular place, or, why the animal stopped eating, or all kinds of why they're crying. I mean, oh my gosh, pulling out their feathers and, I'm just going on. You.
Well, that's okay. No, I just wanted to ask you: is communication with, say, dogs and cats different from communication with farm animals?
What's different is if you're working with an animal that's not only not domesticated, but if it's wild, or if it's a farm animal that no one's talked to, not only not talked to, but where they've had very little to do with humans. So if they're not able to pick information up from those humans, then they're going to be giving me and other people different kinds of information. They won't be repeating words or giving phrases that someone uses or telling me that they don't like this one or that one specifically in so many words. They may be giving me feelings about certain people that are handling them. They're showing images and that kind of thing. When they're domesticated or when they're wild animals that even live around your home that you might feed, stray animals, even raccoons. I've had people who do that. Those animals will learn from the people. They'll learn telepathically what's going on in the heads of those people, and they'll also learn words, English, German, whatever those people speak. Fascinating.
We have a question from Christian in the chat room, and he wants to know, what are the most interesting animals that you've communicated with?
Interesting animals. Well, you know what? I don't know that. I think he's meaning, like what kind of unusual animals, or which animals have been really like far out interesting. But
I think more the unusual animals.
Okay. Well, I read an owl, which I thought was pretty far out, and it's an owl. It's not even your standard barn owl, but this owl, I can't remember what kind. She has a Facebook page, and you can go read her page. Her page is Xena, Xena, and apparently she's the kind of owl that a lot of people breed for. For bringing down animals for hunting. She's big enough apparently to bring down a deer on her own. They're raptors. They're prey animals. And anyway, Xena, it was really cool to read. She was wonderful. And then the birds in her household that I didn't know were there started, they chime in because animals are telepathic. So I'll hear a lot of times in my readings from living and deceased animals from that family, or deceased human beings that have to do with the people whose animals I'm reading and stuff. So you never know who's getting in on the party line.
I understand some of those birds. I understand some of those birds were hating on Xena, and she didn't give a hoot.
Oh, jeez, Chris, where'd you find him?
I say this every week. I just go with it. I let him do his little one-liners. Most of them are pretty good, and every now and then, he throws in a zinger. But hey, that's the voice.
It's okay, Victor. We love you. That's great.
I
like it.
Thank you.
You make me laugh.
Thank you. Jessica in our chat room, our friend Jessica wants to know: do animals ever come to you and ask for help?
Yes. Yes.
Example.
Okay. This is very sad. We were doing interior design work for a man who was completely material-based, not at all a spiritual individual. And I couldn't tell him, this. He had 2 dogs at the time, and one of them was very, very old. His name was Blue. And he was deaf and he was blind. And we started working for him. This dog would just sit. It was a I can't think of the name now. It'll come. Golden Retriever. And he would sit on the area rug in the family room and just, sit there. And he never got up to greet me. I would go over and pet him and say hi to him and all that. Anyway, I was working for this man for about a month, and Blue came to the door to greet me when I walked in. I almost dropped dead because I really didn't even think this dog could walk. He did not look well at all. And his owner had said, he's really old and, he's very frail. And he came to the door and he came to me, and clear as a bell, he said, "Please tell Bill I need to go. He will be all right." I can't remember the name of the other dog, but he had another dog at the time. It might have been Yogi. He said, "He will take care of him, and I will watch over him, but please tell him to let me go." And I did in different words because I was afraid to tell the guy. Isn't that horrible? Isn't that sad for me and for
normal,
him?
Though. It's normal to feel that way.
Oh, my God. And I couldn't tell. But I told him, well, the worst part of it is that he kept this poor creature alive for 2 more weeks. And then he called me up, and he was like hysterical. And I told him, take him to the vet now. He said, "Blue smells so awful. It's the smell of death when the organs are shutting down and the body is really decomposing."
Oh.
And he said he smells horrible. And he just can't move. And I said, "Oh, my God, please take him to the vet." So, yes, that. And I've had a few others. There was a cat in the vet's office who I was sitting there, and my dog had just gotten taken in for blood work. And the cat started telling me that his mom, who was sitting next to him, was crying a lot, and that, like every night she would cry. And I said, I told her at that point who I was, what I would do. And I said, "I'm sorry to tell you, Cat's telling me you're crying all the time." And he's showing me like this purple plaid shirt, like kind of a flannel shirt that it looks like he lays on. And she says, "Oh, my God." She said, "Okay, yeah." She said, "My husband just died recently, and that was one of his shirts. And, yes, my cat sleeps on that, and I'm always crying and this whole thing." So then the cat told me more, and I told her, and then the cat ratted on her son because the cat showed me her son smoking, and I described him, and she said, "Oh, my God, that's my son."
So the cat was a rat.
Yeah, right.
we have another question because we don't have a lot of time, from Christian again, and he wants to know, has Eden ever dealt with an animal possessed by a negative spirit?
No.
Okay.
I dealt with a number of animals, who were reincarnated, and they originally were humans, or in the last lifetime they were human, but never a negative entity. No.
Okay. That's
Thank
interesting.
God.
That's very interesting. I understand, Eden. I understand that you do something wonderful. You donate 10% of your animal communicating earnings to charity. That's just fabulous. What charities do you support?
Thank you. I mainly support the Humane Society in Flagler County, where I live in Florida. I also support another rescue that's local, which is a non-kill, and it's called Second Chance Rescue in Bunnell, Florida. And then, of course, I give all the time. I'm a bleeding heart, and I see, oh, my gosh, on Facebook, friends of mine, and, one friend of mine from school has the Queenie Foundation in Connecticut, and she's always teaching, people about spaying and neutering and all this stuff, and, all over the place, so.
Eden, is there a recurrent message that animals give you for their companions and for humanity at large?
Not so much for humanity at large, but I think that one of the important things that a lot of animals have issue with is that, and one of the things that as soon as I am retired, which I hope will be, not in a terribly distant future, I can really address more, is that we human beings need to understand animals in general as well as our own pets and so forth better. We need to look at it, and we need to learn how to really talk to them in a different way than yes, we should talk to them as if they were family members, because they are, and as if they were a human child or, a teenager or an adult, whatever. But also understanding that your dog, your cat, your bird, your horse, your fish, whatever, your kangaroo, is not human. And they don't need certain things, and they don't feel certain things. They don't have guilt. They do feel badly when they don't do what they consider a job correctly, and they disappoint you or upset you. But they don't have some of the emotions, and they emote in a different way than a human being. They don't need to have a cookie. They if you give them a treat all the time, they're going to want it. But it's a little different than being human. So a lot of human beings overfeed their critters. They overthink things. They worry about certain things that they shouldn't, and other things that they ought to that they're not.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What message would you like our listeners to take away from your experiences and the wonderful work that you do?
I would like them to know, first of all, that, we are all the same under the skin, and that even though some of us have greater gifts in terms of psychic ability and mediumship or whatever, there are so many people of great abilities and extra gifts in medicine and music and art and theater and film and writing and just being wonderful people, being a great host, being a great cook, all kinds of wonderful husband, wife, parents, and humanitarian. So that is most important, that we are all the same in so many ways, and that we really need to consider everybody as equals on a level playing field, and then, honor and appreciate certain special things about other people. But, we shouldn't put people on a pedestal. That can be very dangerous, and we shouldn't consider that people are beneath us. They may be different from us. We may not like certain things about them. They may not like certain things about us, but that doesn't make them necessarily bad unless they're doing something evil to other people. That's a whole different story.
Eden, you are most assuredly my sister from another mother. You and I are probably the same. We're soul family, no question about it. And it's amazing and wonderful how we're meeting soul family week after week. Chris, anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, you said it. She's an amazing woman, and I just thoroughly enjoyed this show. I like it when we can ask a question, just sit back, and somebody has something of value to add, and she did, and I just thought it was a great show tonight. I want to thank you for being our guest.
I want to thank you both for having me, and I think that this kind of venue is so critically important. I think the more that we can get out information about those of us who are light workers, who are whatever ways that we're doing things that are beneficial for society, for humanity, for animal kingdom, for the planet, and that were considered woo-woo or freaky or not good or phony for many years. I think it's critical that now you're doing this, and ghost hunting as well, all these things. Very
Eden,
important.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. We've got about 15 seconds left. Next week, the great story about our experience in Jeff Legier's home up in Massachusetts near Salem. Chris, take us out real fast.
We're here every week making the unbelievable believable. May the spirits guide you. Thank you and good night.
Yay.